Brothers and sisters, we can't thank you enough for all your love, your support, and your faithfulness. It's been brought to my attention, if you really want to do something to bless us, to thank us, apparently simply hitting the like button on YouTube would be more impactful than what I ever knew, let alone subscribing to us on YouTube if you're not already. And then over on Spotify and Apple, please leave us a review. All of your listening and your comments to us mean the world to us. And do us a favor and just hit like on YouTube and leave us reviews on Spotify and Apple. And we're going to continue to serve you with our whole heart. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of the Tattoo Guardians podcast. You got me and Mike Cernoyatsky doing the beats for us in the background, and legendary Mr. Joshua Carlton with us today. Our brother Hip is on a much needed hiatus. My God, it's good to be back. How are you, brother Josh?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to get used to this crazy weather we have here. It's like I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, it's a beautiful day outside. And then it's hailing 5 minutes later. Like I'll literally go, like I've got this new obsession where I want to wash my car all the time. It's like my time. I kind of go out there, I hand wash it. It's like my time to just sit and decompress and think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I really like it, right? But I'll literally be like, this is a perfect day. I'll get all my cleaners and stuff ready. And I'm like, no joke, I will literally be filling up my my foam sprayer, and it starts to hail. And then that, that might last 5 minutes and might last an hour. You just don't know. And like, no matter what my phone tells me, it's not even close to right. So I'm just ready. I feel like this has been the longest winter ever, and I'm just ready for some warmth,
Mm-hmm. My goodness.
I feel like earlier on one of your text threads, you said that there was a thunderstorm there that you guys had.
Oh, yeah. It's been thunderstorm here all day today. And just 2 nights ago, we had that huge tornado came through the whole Midwest. And
that's crazy. That's my wife's biggest fear is tornadoes. That's why she has that tattoo, actually, of a tornado. Yeah. Because she's from Indiana,
Yeah, and it whips through here. I mean, there's a tornado that destroyed half of our city just 2 years ago. And you drive through parts of our city, and it looks like it hit yesterday. There's still crazy parts that haven't even been repaired, and
wow.
And so for another one coming through so soon, it's all of us around here take it a little more seriously because it's already wrecked us in recent years.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a good metaphor in there, something about respecting the storm. I know I used to Nikki would tell me how she was so terrified of tornadoes, and I've never experienced anything like that, luckily. And I know there's storm chasers and stuff, and I was always like, I feel like I'd be one of those people that would go out and check it out, but you see the devastation. It's like, you really learn, no, you need to respect the storm. Like, this is much bigger than you are,
And it's so quick and it's so fast. Like, the devastation happens in minutes.
Wow. I always heard they say the calm before the storm. I always heard the weather will get really eerily quiet, right? Yep. And even almost like a green overcast outside, and then it'll just, it just shows up. It's so crazy.
Oh, yeah. And when it's on its way, it's windy and weather, and it seems like a storm's a brewing. But then when it actually arrives, approaches your doorstep, it is eerie quiet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Man. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys are all safe.
Oh, no kidding. Me too, man. We were all hunkered down in the basement like the rest of the world around here. Luckily, it passed over, man.
Right.
To all you listeners, we just, from the bottom of my heart, I need to thank you for all of you who have reached out to us and shared how much last week's episode meant to you. As you can imagine, it was vulnerable, as you heard live, that we didn't know when we were having the discussion if we were even going to air it. But obviously we did. And your guys' outreach and outpouring of love and understanding has really been a gift and has aided me in my healing. And to know that me having the courage to share my story has now aided you in your healing. I just can't thank you enough. Big time. And for everyone, though, we understand that was a heavy episode, right?
Right.
And so today we just wanted to bring a little more clarity and some closure, and hopefully Josh and I just came to the table today to just share like the top couple things that we have been learning in the midst of the storms that we've been in recent months and recent years, hoping that it's going to lighten the heaviness of last week and give you some real tactical, useful, tangible practices to apply into your everyday life. And if at the very least, to give you some hope and new perspectives. Is that okay with you all today?
I love it.
My God. Woo! Speaking of storms, I love that, and respecting the storm. And who do we become in the midst of the storm? And then how do we react afterward with all the wreckage, right? And we are continually learning. Josh, I've been learning my whole life, and even now learning the importance of choosing your position no matter what. Just choosing your position no matter what. And what do I mean when I say that, guys? Example. I'm a man of love. I chose already that position. I choose love, right? So if that's the position I hold, but how committed am I into being that and holding that position? Or do I choose that and then a storm comes, an idiot comes, an offender comes, trauma comes, an insult comes? Now does it immediately cause me to change my position? I was choosing love till this motherfucker showed up. Now it's on, right?
Right.
That's not what I mean by choosing your position. I mean, choose your position so that no matter what, you cannot be swayed. Other people may be a certain way, their way of being, that it's not up to you to control or be responsible for. But what you're responsible for is, who are you being? Always, even in the face of, in spite of. Choose your position. Is kind of the heart of today's discussion. And we all have to do that in every relationship, with every client. This is why knowing who you are and how you operate before the consult even arrives into your studio is so important. Have you already chosen your position? Do you already know your rates clearly? Do you know your name, who you are and how you operate? Have you already chosen your position so that when your client shows up, you can convey who you are and how you operate effortlessly, as if you didn't just learn your own name today, as if it was already settled, right? Choosing your position shows up in every area of your life. With your spouse, you choose your position that I'm going to love my spouse no matter what, through it all. Am I choosing my position to be in forgiveness or bitterness, love or fear, abundance or lack, right?
Right.
We're constantly hit with the choice. Scripture says, choose you this day whom ye shall serve. You get to choose, right?
Yeah.
No matter what. Whether you get diagnosed with cancer, whether you get diagnosed with narcolepsy and cataplexy, whether you get roofied, whether you get drugged, whether you ever get betrayed, right? Oh.
Yeah, I think choosing your position not only is important, but sometimes people might need examples. You know what I mean? Like, what exactly does this mean? So, and maybe I'm
yes, brother.
Maybe I'm not even understanding it 100%, but I see a lot of people that you've heard me in the past call them victims. They live eternally as a victim, so they've chosen that position. So let's say a tattoo artist is, they've chosen their position to be bitter, right? They've been tattooing for a long time. They have some chronically online problems. And when I say chronically online, I mean, you go to these tattoo forums and it's just kind of the online thing to be super bashing of your client. I had somebody come in today and want a Pinterest tattoo. The audacity of that bitch. You know what I mean? And it's like, right? You're choosing your position to just be bitter all the time. And you kind of become this, you become this character almost. You know what I mean? So you've chosen the position to, I have a consultation and I'm already deciding to be angsty. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I want to do this instead. And I understand that completely. I'm in a very fortunate position where I can choose the things that I want to do. But until I got there, I definitely struggled with both ways. I would choose the position to be bitter and to hate everybody, because I think anybody that works with people all day long becomes bitter. You know, you're dealing with people that are just asking you the same annoying question over and over again. But when I chose to live in light, when I chose to live in love, it changed like that, right? So I chose the position to live my best life every day. Before cancer, I was doing this. I've always considered myself somebody that was very interested in growing and being the best man I could be, right?
Yes.
And I will absolutely say that cancer shined a much brighter light on that for me. And so you'll hear me say things like, don't wait until cancer. Don't wait until somebody drugs you. Don't wait until something happens. Like, hopefully these words that we're sharing can help you pick your position. And as Mike said, I don't know the question, but I know the answer is love. So I think
Come on, boy.
I think that's a great starting point.
And I love it because, and when you started, Josh, you were saying like, some people, will be a victim of something and then they choose that as almost like that's their position for life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you said that, I don't know why in my spirit, I heard so many victims say, fuck you. I'm a victim. I did not choose my position to be a victim.
Right.
It chose me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I understand. There are some things out of your control. But do not relinquish all of your control because of the few that wasn't in your control.
Yeah.
That you still have a choice. Yes, you didn't have a choice if you were a true victim. Somebody else did something to you. I get it. But I still have a choice to, even afterwards and in the midst of, it's still on me to choose my position,
right?
Even with the pain, even in the pain. And this is your freedom. This is the good news, is that no one is holding you back anymore. You are free.
Yeah. I think that, I understand there's listeners out there that are like, you don't know my life. You don't know what happened to me. And that's absolutely true. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own trauma. Some people are much more privileged than others. That's just facts. But you can still choose, right? You can still choose. Nikki and I have a saying, when we get really stressed out, when we're putting on a new event, and we're overwhelmed, we both like to say, well, this is not happening. So I can choose to be stressed and nervous the entire time and fumble my way through this, or I can put my head down, put on my blinders, get in the game, and do the best that I can do. And by being a victim in that moment, even my own victim of like, I made this mistake to do this event, I chose this, I'm pissed at whatever, I just go and I just, again, put my blinders on. We do our absolute best. We give it our best. We live in light. We live in love. And it generally works out. And there's always lessons to be learned through all of that, But, your life is not happening. This is not happening. It is happening.
I love that. I feel like you texted me that when you heard the trauma that happened to me. And I feel like you're like, well, man, dude, this is not happening. And I remember being like, he's fucking right.
It's a good way to get kind of a good jump off point. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, when people, let's say a married couple, the husband starts to put on weight. Well, they're around each other all the time, and they don't even really realize it. And all of a sudden, friends are like, "Hey, you put on a lot of weight. Are you doing okay?" Or this or that. But maybe the wife doesn't really even notice, because it's like watching a clock, right? So you can just slowly become this bitter, angry person and not even realize it. And then you look back and you're like, "Geez, I'm just an asshole."
My God.
And then when you realize that, you have a couple of choices. To
choose who
Thank
you are. God you still got one.
Exactly.
And your whole life can change at the pivot and the point of that choice. Choose your position today. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. Choose your position. It don't matter what we did yesterday. The art of putting the past where it belongs, in the past, right? Well, I just love that there is grace for anyone to pivot and change your whole life. I can't tell you how many TBM students we work with that their testimony was exactly what Josh just laid out. And they were so bitter and so their cups were so full. They already fucking knew it all. Opinions about everyone. This industry rates how you should operate. Anyone that's doing it differently, they're talking shit, right? Bitter as fuck, blinded as fuck, but they think they can see it all. Man, their life's miserable. Somehow they give me a shot and enter into TBM and whew, so much changes. But it starts with them realizing.
Yeah.
And growing in their awareness. Oh my God, like Josh said. Holy shit, up in the asshole. And did he realize?
Yeah, just when you realize that, like, here's a good way to try to visualize it. So let's take a nice clean jar. I remember you doing something with pouring water. Matt, you may have gone over this or something similar, but I'm trying to make it easy to how I'm visualizing it. So you got this nice, clean, empty jar, right? And it's filled with just beautiful, clean water. And that's your life. That's when you're born. You're just pure, full water. Everything's great. You're born. You've got your whole life ahead of you. You're not an asshole yet. You know, you don't know what the world really is. But then as life comes on, you know, you take a spoonful of dirt and just pour it in the jar. So now it's getting a little cloudy. It's not so bad, but things are a little bit harder. But as life comes and kicks you in the balls, you just keep on putting more stuff, more dirt, more roots, more rocks into this jar. And pretty soon now your jar is just filled with darkness, right? Yeah. And now you're in the thick of it. This is, this is the life. And you're like, what have I done? Where did I go wrong? I have regrets. I wish I could go back and do this again. And then you hear somebody like us be like, live in the light, be positive. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So you start, trying to get rid of some of that trauma. You're scooping out the dark. You're just trying to scoop the dirt out of the water. Well, it doesn't really work like that. You could get some of it out, but inevitably some's left behind. Some of this deeper trauma is just almost impossible to scoop out. You've got therapy, you've got friends to lean on. You're really trying your best, but you're still not able to scoop this out, and your water is so cloudy. And you're like, fuck this. This isn't working. This is toxic positivity. This is bullshit. It's not happening. But there is one answer to that. Stop scooping it out so much and pour it in. So let's take that jar of water and just put it under the tap and run the water through it. And your cup is going to overflow with this fresh, clean water. And what's going to happen? That's going to overflow everything with the good, just like you had when you were born and you were pure. And suddenly your cup is clear again.
My goodness.
So yes, try to seek help for past trauma. Yes, be aware. Don't bury this stuff, but pour that light into it. Choose.
Thank you, Josh.
If you choose what I call living in light, that's why I have the clothing line, Light the Path.
My God. And that's why when we were talking about the pain last week, and that's why the one made word that's come up on this show for 2023 is willingness and openness. To choose to remain open. Because what you'll find is like he said, it's not up to us to heal ourselves, to clean out our own dirt. It is in part simply by your choice to allow the process. The good news is this. Oh my God. Y'all think I've been healing myself the past 2 weeks? I've been healing tremendously. I ain't been healing myself, but I've allowed it. I've leaned into the pain. And the pain will make you want to fucking, I'm seeing too, this hurts too bad. Fuck it. No, even if you need a break. But I re-choose my position to open back up, to lay back down on the operating table so that I can see that which I couldn't see before. I.e., are you going to be open and willing, even if it's painful, even if you don't know, to allow yourself to get under the new clean water, to start healing, to start processing the old out? God, source, the universe, the right resources and people, signs, wonders, messages will be delivered unto you every day, all day. All you need to do is be open to see it, open to receiving it. Choose your position. The rest will be revealed in the process through so many vessels that you couldn't even dream of.
Yeah.
Man, Josh, I love that, brother.
Yeah, I feel like that's a
that.
good way to just try to visualize, what we're talking about. And you had mentioned, for our listeners, you'd mentioned like maybe a top 3 or something. Like, do you have some things that you've learned maybe over the years? Like, are there a couple of things that you found like, hey, this is important to do this? Like, what are some things that maybe have helped you?
Okay. Well, for starters, guys, a quote, so many signs and wonders have come to me just since the show last week. For my healing, and they come for you, guys. Even scripture says you will be shown signs and wonders. And we think that's like raising the dead and healing these big miracles, and they are. But every single day in the power's in the little things. The little things aren't little. And if you're open to it, you'll be shown signs and wonders for what you need in your life today, if you're even looking for them. Right? And I have been. And so I've been getting them all day. I can't get in my vehicle and I have a broken heart. And if I turn a song on, boom, it's somehow a song for me. I'll open up my screen, boom. Out of anything that shows up, it was a message for me. I'll get a message from, signs, wonders, running into strangers. My 4-year-old daughter came up to me in the midst of my pain, has never said this to me since she's been on planet Earth, came up to me, tugged my arm. I looked down at her and she said, Daddy, everything is exactly as it should be. And she hugged me.
Wow.
But that was in a moment when I needed to hear that. You never know the vessel. And the vessel may be a little human. It may be an old human. It may not be a human at all. It may be a digital message that showed up on your timeline. It may show up on your Spotify. It may be a word that comes through a movie that you hear in the background while you're passing the store. Are you listening? Are you open to the signs and wonders in the midst of what you're going through now, right? So out of all the signs and wonders that came to me this week, several quotes came to me. And here's one I want to share with you now, which is from, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. He also wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. I highly suggest both of those books. But he writes, Josh, this is amazing. They didn't see the opportunity because it showed up in the form of misfortune. And he goes on to say that oftentimes opportunity shows up in the form of misfortune or temporal defeat. Most times opportunity shows up in the form of misfortune. And then it says most people cannot and do not see the opportunity because it showed up in the form of misfortune.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so easy to be blindsided, right? It's so easy to, everything is just happening to me all at once. Like I'm sure everybody's the same way. Like I used to call it the Carlton curse. You know what I mean? It's like, of course this is happening right now. Of course my camera's not going to fucking work when I'm setting up to do my podcast. Like my computer's always working perfect, but of course it's going to go out. Right before we started recording, guys, like actually as soon as we hit record, everything sounded crystal clear, and all of a sudden it sounded like we were talking through CBs. It's never happened before, but of course it's going to happen today when we're on a tight schedule. Yeah. It's not happening, right? So luckily between the three of us, Mike, with the producer, was able to say, hey, let's just restart stuff. It's as simple as that. A lot of times it's just turning something off and turning it back on. We always hear that's the cure, right? Your computer doesn't work. You turn it off. Did you try turning it off and turning it back on? Well, what if you did that with yourself? Did you reset yourself today? Let's reset yourself today.
And sometimes for me lately, that's been each hour.
Yeah, and if that's what it takes, exactly.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning and you've got a choice. Count your blessing that you woke up this morning, because my mom didn't about a month ago. I didn't think I was going to wake up. Yeah. With all of this cancer. And I'm not trying to paint myself as a victim. I'm going through things I'm going through, and there's people that are way worse off than me. Right. But I am choosing my position. I wake up in the morning. I kind of check that all my limbs work. I can see. Yeah. A lot of the medications I'm on make it to where for a minute I was going blind temporarily. It was really bizarre. Mm-hmm. And as an artist, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst possible thing that could happen. This is not happening. But I kept going. I chose my position. I reset myself, and you know, my doctors are like, wow, you're doing better than any of our other clients. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this on the air, but there's a thing when I go to my oncologist on the door that says, like, you know, what level are you at? One being completely bedridden, can't do anything, and one being basically pre-cancer. And like, I went from being almost bedridden completely to pretty much, I feel like I'm probably wrong, but I used to run a 5K every day. Every single day I ran a 5K. I've not run in probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Mentally, I feel like if we finish this podcast, I could go out and run it.
Yeah.
I never in a million years thought I could even walk it before. So just even if I physically couldn't do it, I love that my brain is like, let's go. Let's fucking go. You know?
Yes.
And I love that it's helping me choose those positions, because if you do it long enough, right?
Yeah.
It becomes you. So
Thank you.
At first, things are a struggle, right? And they're foreign, like anything new. You put on new glasses, you see different, right?
Yes.
But then you get used to that vision, and it's a better vision. You have to keep going.
Oh my God, doing it long enough. And that's the thing, because guys, you can choose your position today like I opened. You choose your position, love, till someone wants to come test it. Then what, right? But like Josh said, choose your position, hold it. And consistency is king. The longer you do it, miracles will happen, not only being developed in you and your strength and your power, but also those around you. It becomes real power because it becomes believable, because you chose your position no matter what and held it. You weren't swayed by the exterior. So it's real, but people need to see it last longer than a fucking week.
Yeah, people
right?
are like,
so that's
I've tried that. And sometimes it feels fake in the beginning, like when you're trying to remain positive. I just had this conversation with my wife literally over dinner last night, how it's become me. Like a good example is I used to be really overweight. I've lost the weight. I've kept it off for years now. I don't even remember the old heavy Josh. Like it's not like when I got my new driver's permit, I finally have a new picture, because it was a real problem. I go to the airport and I'm like, here's my ID. And they're like, you look really different. And I had lost like 100 pounds, you know? So when I got my new ID and I look like me, it was like, there you are.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't even really picture the older me, but it happened just over time. I just, as I changed, I just changed. And now this is me. And I'm at peace with me. I love me.
Yes, I love that.
That took a long time.
Yeah. Yes, brother. So beautiful, man. I'll give you 3 examples, real life examples of choosing my position where it really fucking counts. It always counts. Mike is sitting, you guys can't see him, but he's sitting here at the table like he is every week. Even me choosing my position with him matters. And do you think it dictates the position he chooses with me? Right? But it's even deeper than that. So you guys all know my wife, Katie. We're coming up on 14 years now. We have 3 beautiful children. We have an 18-year-old son who technically I'm actually stepdad to. And I don't usually say that, but to clarify and to honor his father. And I've been raising my boy since he was 5 years old. And he's going to be 19 this summer. He's on spring break, starting third baseman on a baseball trip, playing in Miami right now as we speak. Right?
That's awesome.
Real proud of that boy. And then I have a 10-year-old daughter, and then a 4-year-old daughter. But when I met Katie, when I met her, guys, and I knew, and it wasn't to date, we were meeting on business. She was a muralist, and I'd just become a tattoo artist. Or I had been tattooing for a couple of years now, and I wasn't able to do murals. And I had designers from Cincinnati and Columbus all over Phoenix still wanting my mural work. And I heard of some a young gal that was a muralist, so I wanted to interview her to see if I could give her and keep everybody happy. And that's ended up happening. But when I saw her, guys, I just saw the back of her. I was pulling in the parking lot. I knew it was her, and in my spirit, it was like, there she is. But it was like, there's the one. I was like, fuck, because I was not trying to be in any relationship, you know, but I just knew in my spirit when I met her. Guys, that was just a short backstory to this. When I met her, And we finally became a couple because she was not ready. She was hurt. She was broken. On paper, she was still married. She had been separated for a year, and she was so broken in every way. Trust shattered, love, all of that. And I knew that I was meant to love her through it all and to be with her. I was already right off the sunset, and it took years for her healing. But once we became a couple, her number one desire, no matter how bad her past relationship was, no matter how bad her ex-husband was, or how bad he had treated her, or blah, 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 or all the terrible things I had heard, or whatever, that's not going to make you like somebody. She wanted to choose her position, which was love and restoration for all. And she wanted to walk in love, forgiveness, and co-parent, and all be friends. And that was the position she was chosen. I had to decide if I'm in or out. I didn't have a choice on that. I had a choice, could I do that or not, And I chose my position of love. And so in the early years, even how I dealt with her ex was like love. She wanted to be the people that, like, when we go to the ball games, like, we're together for our son's sake, right? But that took me and Katie choosing our position and not wavering. And it was tested so many times, right? Even if it's not agreeing on parenting or whatever, right? But even then, here's her ex, and he's looking at me as the dude that came in and stole his whatever. You know what I'm saying? He's not liking me either, but I chose my position, right? And I had to even choose to let go of whatever stories I fucking had. It didn't matter. We're moving forward. Doesn't matter what the past said. We are creators. And what are we going to create moving forward? It does not serve any of us to keep being the same way we've been being, that's caused all this harm and division and judgment and blah, 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 and fucking drama and gossip, backbiting. To continue on that path is a waste of your time and mind. We chose our positions, and we couldn't force him or anybody else to get on board. But like Josh said, by us choosing our position, it being true and not wavering, it was tested so many times where you want to be cool with somebody, and then they do something, you're like, oh, gloves off now, motherfucker is on, right? I can't tell you how many times that happened. But I'm saving all the details. The point is, we chose our position and stayed there. And over time, like Josh was saying, over time, even not only did his ID picture change, who he has become has changed. Not just physically losing 100 pounds, but spiritually, he lost 100 pounds of that which was no longer serving him internally too.
Absolutely.
Right? So his choice of who he's choosing to be today is different than who he once was. It takes time, but we must choose our position and hold it. And over time, not only does it change in you, but it changes everyone around you. Fast forward. We're all friends to this day. We have Christmases together. We have birthdays together. We buy each other gifts. I've taken them on vacation with us. He ended up getting remarried. Guess who officiated his wedding? I did. Guess who the photographer of his wedding was? Katie was. Our son was in the wedding, right? Restoration happened, and it was not because things weren't ugly and terrible. I mean, it was the ugliest you could imagine. Like most would say, impossible to restore. Most would say impossible to be even just cool with one another. But in the name of love, in the name of for our son, Katie knew. And she was willing to let go. She was willing to forgive. She was willing to heal. And she asked me to come along with her. We chose our position. It took years, but it was worth it. And we're all fucking friends to this day. We love one another to this day. Not only does my son's name's Max, his parents come over, but his grandparents do too. And they love me and I love them. We chose our position years ago, and miracles have happened ever since, and it has affected everyone. That's example one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I think that it's really shows you how people generally are, because what you're saying is so rare, right? That shouldn't be so rare that family situation like that is like, wow, you guys get along, like you guys friends, you guys tolerate each other. Like one,
Right.
the Max is the one most affected by this.
That's right.
And like, we got to kind of put ourselves in the position of like, what's really important here, and I'm not going to get on here and tell anybody how to parent, but I do know that when my mother married her husband after my father split up, my mother became really good friends with her new husband's ex-wife. And I remember being blown away. I was like, what? Yeah. That never happens, So it's a pretty rare thing, So like hearing that, it just is how we are as people. I don't know if it's different in different countries, if it's an American thing. I have a feeling it's probably pretty worldwide. But that's wonderful that you were able to make that happen.
My God. Yep. It takes a level of maturity, emotional maturity, because everyone can stay stuck in their reasons why that fucker doesn't deserve what or not. Fuck her, fuck him, right?
And that's being stuck in the past.
That's right.
That's where the past
that's it, dude. An emotional maturity to recreate a new present and future instead of continuing to perpetuate the past, and you're creating more of the very things you fucking hate. How's that working for you?
Exactly. And that's the thing, it's always, you've heard me say, 5 years is going to happen, whether you start the thing that you're dreaming of doing, whether you start it today or not, 5 years is going to happen. Life is going to go on. When you're gone, guess what? The earth keeps spinning. Life is still going on. So let's make these decisions. Let's choose our positions today. How about when this episode is done, you take a breath, and now is the time. The diet doesn't start tomorrow. The diet starts now.
Yeah. I love that. And, coming from divorce myself, man, I can speak for myself and a lot of kids. At the end of the day, I don't believe kids don't care as much about if mom and dad stay together nearly as much as if that mom and dad are happy. Right?
Yeah.
Mom and dad stay together. If they're unhappy, that's not like helpful. But if mom and dad split up and they're fucking happy, that is better, So that's one. But I grew up my whole life and I love both my parents. But man, my dad hated my mom's guts and talked mad shit about her my whole life. And my mom hated my dad's guts, talked mad shit about him my whole life. But it was still my dad. It was still my mom. And going through that, like, what the fuck was I supposed to do about it? Right.
Yeah.
And so those of you, part of choosing your position in that is to shield your own kids from them having to hear you vent and talk shit about their other parent.
Yeah.
Even if they're a total piece of shit. But what's your kid supposed to do about it? Don't burden them because you're fucking burdened by it, and to be so low and insecure and immature that you're going to display that in front of them, right?
Yeah.
So many of us are guilty of it. Choose your position. Whoosh, cut it. It's not serving anyone, right?
Yeah.
But I think coming up in that helped me as an adult make the better choice because I know the other ones and they all fucking suck. You know what I'm saying?
You have to think about how much, and I don't want this to lean towards, like I said, me trying to teach anybody parenting, but it's very common for people to become the very thing that they hated. We talk about pretty personal things on this podcast, so I'll say this out loud. I was severely abused by my father, physically and mentally. I'm talking punched in the face, beat up. This is not something I talk about often.
Yeah.
This is something that I probably should have chose to deal with a lot earlier in life than more recently. However, I had two choices. Naturally, I had a lot of anger inside of me. And when I had children, I could have gone down that path and just continued that thing. That's what I learned. That's what I know. That's all I grew up with. You know what I mean? Your kid does something wrong. Maybe he gets punched in the mouth. But luckily, I chose not to do that and to break that cycle, right? I broke that cycle. So my kids have lived, certainly not a perfect father by any means. They've had to grow up and see the fear in my eyes and of the cancer diagnosis and diabetes and all of these things. But you know what I'm hoping that they learned from this was that Dad fought. Dad chose the position to give his absolute best. My dad didn't give up. You can bet on my dad, and therefore they will hopefully become a man that's even close to him. I had an incredibly wonderful grandfather, amazing man. If I could be half the man that he was, I'm happy. So I'm really hoping that by me breaking the cycle of the abuse that my father gave me, hopefully my son Elliot can grow up to be a man to be very proud of, and to continue that cycle. That's the new cycle that they don't even know about the abuse back in the day. They don't, because when you're born with, there's so much trauma in me from my abuse that Elliot had to have been just born with some of it, right?
Yeah.
So we have to break that cycle. So I guess I'm getting a little personal here, and for our listeners, if that's too much, I do apologize. But
Jesus, no. Thank you for.
I want you to know where I'm coming from. I'm not up here just saying like life happens, get over it. Like I went through some shit too.
Right. Oh my God, dude. Another quote that came up to me this week from Ernest Hemingway, and says, "There is no nobility in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got to go to Ernest Hemingway's house.
Really?
I did. I got to tour it. It was amazing. The only place you couldn't go was in his actual writing room. There was like a little kind of like a bridge in his backyard that went to this really beautiful little studio where he wrote. Yeah. But you could go through the rest of the house, and I don't know, and I probably just shit on your point about something, but
no, it's okay.
I remember it was really cool that he had, I guess the whole time he lived there, he had these cats, and they all had like an extra thumb, thumb on their paw, and they were all over the house. There was all these cats all over the house with these extra thumbs. I don't know. I just remember that when I was a kid.
Wow, yeah, and we still don't even fucking know why.
I guess it kind of even goes with this. It started at some point. This cat had that, and they went on and they carried this cycle through it. And so now all these cats have these extra thumb. So it's like the same thing, right? Like the cycle wasn't broken. I don't even know if thumb's the right word. Thumb? Do cats even have thumbs? They had an extra digit.
They're called beans.
Are they really?
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, okay.
No, but just what you're talking, that you've taken 1,000% responsibility to look at you, no matter who went before you and who did what to you, that you looked at it and chose a new position, chose to be the breakthrough person in your lineage. And I fucking love that. And then for when I was talking to all these parents about like not talking shit about your ex in front of your kid as if you're somehow fucking superior or whatever. And that's when I just brought up the Hemingway quote. There's nothing noble about being superior to other people. The only nobility is you being superior to your former self, and you taking responsibility to fucking choose your position, and it not be because of your stances, because of how they're standing, right? It's not noble for you to choose a position to try and outdo anybody. It's noble for you to choose a position to be the best for you ever.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I think that,
go ahead.
I think that for me, one of the things I've learned over the years is that, and I'm guessing most of you out there are like this, like at the end of the day, I just want a little bit of peace, some kind of peace, And so it's difficult to get any sort of real peace if I can't be peaceful with myself, So it starts with you. It started with me at least. And then through time, it grows, and you do get that. And, at 48 years old, even though I'm going through the stuff I'm going through, I feel a pretty good sense of peace, and it's really nice. I feel like for a long time I was waiting for my real life to begin, But if you do that for too long, suddenly you're an old man or an old woman, and you're like, wait, right? And then you become an observer. When you get to that age, you stop being in the life and you're just an observer of life going on around you. I'm always telling people not to wait because I faced death. I'm facing death. And it's like, whoa, put on the brakes. You know what I mean? But like wherever you're at in your life, like choose your position today.
Yeah, man. I remember one time Oprah telling a story of how like she realized most of her life, when she prayed, she felt like she was praying wrong until one day, she got changed perspective because Oprah was like always praying to God for things and then just waiting, like praying and just waiting on God, until basically one day God finally showed up and was like, fuck you doing? Like, I've been waiting on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I've been waiting on you to choose your position. There ain't nothing you want or got going on that's intimidating to me. I fucking heard you. I'm waiting on you. Yeah. Right? Man. Oh, so good. Another example of choosing your position, when I started out with Brenner, and you already know the story, it took me 3 years for him to even let me in. And now I'm in a shop with just like, badass, hard ass fucking tattooers slaying it. And I must have been an alien because I walk in with so much love and light. They think this fucker's fake. Something's off with this dude, right? Well, a good brother of mine today was Brian Brenner's cousin, Mr. Joey Brenner, who works with me and is one of the leaders at Aisle 9 to this day. And originally he was one of my first mentors with Brian. And Joey one day called me, talk about being consistent, choosing your position, guys. And it used to hurt my feelings. People would talk shit about me, make fun of me. It hurt my feelings, but it didn't jade me and it didn't make me not be me no more. Why? Because I had chosen my position. It's who I am. Yes, it hurts if you don't see me. Yes, it hurts if you want to fucking judge. Yes, it hurts if you think I'm fake. But I'm still choosing my position. And love is greater than that, right? But sometimes it takes time. Fast forward 3 years, I get a call from Joey Brenner, and like something had broken in him. From him been watching me, being that consistent for so long, a light switch flipped, and he realized, my God, and he called me. He's like, man, I've been watching you for 3 years. No matter what people said come against you, you have stayed the same, man. And I have come to realize you're the real fucking deal. And I don't know what it is that you got, but I think I need some of it. Right? Which was such a gift. And I'll be honest with you guys, just before I got that phone call from him, I was in discouragement because it seemed like maybe nothing I do is making impact. Maybe no one does see me. Like, I started to be like dwindle on my position after 3 years, right? I'm human. That phone call showed up just in time. Someone finally is like, I do see you, man. Thank God. What am I getting at though? One, the consistency of choosing your position is powerful and necessary, but we're all human and we'll all have days of being like, fuck that position. I suck. I'm defeated, right? That's okay. We all fall down. You just get back up. So don't judge yourself. Love yourself. Give yourself room. Become the observer. This is why Socrates says, know thyself, by just being open and observing, and quit judging yourself. Just notice, oh, yep, that's the old me that I now notice and been listening to this podcast, realizing those thoughts no longer serve me. Oh, growing in my awareness, not going to judge myself. Nope, return to sender. Boop, I forgot. I chose a new position. It's going to take some practice. Please dance with us. Please get in the game and practice choosing the best position, no matter what. No matter what.
That's
why Josh is sitting here.
Yeah. It really is. It has so much to do with my success and my health. Is just remaining a light. I'm constantly told by my nurses, by my doctors, by my oncologist, like, you've got something extra going on. You've got something that's special. Of course, modern medicine and all this stuff, but there's another side to it, and that is choosing my position. My position is I'm going to fucking live. That's where I'm at.
Yes.
So this is coming from somebody who, suffered such deep, dark depression that I was very suicidal. We've talked about this in the past. There were times when, Nikki would just sleep on the couch because I didn't go to bed. I stayed up all night long. I would go to bed at 7 a.m. I just barely slept. And she was so prepared to wake up with me hanging from the rafters because I was so depressed, and that's when that was my choice, right? I was so depressed. But it was in my hands. So when cancer came knocking and guess what, motherfucker? Surprise, 4 months to live. Well, now that really fucking woke me up to, holy shit, it might not be in my hands anymore. And like, how dare I wanted to have done that. How dare I wanted to have taken myself out away from my family who loves me, who cares for me, who needs me. I'm talking about raising a better human, a better man than my father raised me. But if I'm not here, what the fuck, So that's a hard pill for me to swallow, that I went through that. And for all of you people that are suffering out there, I'm not bashing you. I've been there, but there is light. There is a better place to be. You can get there. I can help you in any way I can. You always feel free to reach out to me, please. A lot of you have. And a lot of you, so many of you, just like with Matt, when he told his, horrific story of what happened to him, you were there for him. And you know what that did for him? Right, Matt? I'm sure that was very much needed. The outpouring of love from our listeners. The people that it touched, the people that it, brought up some unfortunate things that happened to them, but maybe they need to talk about it. Maybe Matt giving them some clarity on his own situation helped them. That's a beautiful thing. And that's what living in the light is.
Come on.
It's awful that we live in a world where if an ex-wife and a new husband and all that can get along, like I was just saying, but also what you were just talking about, how about you being super nice and happy and full of love is a warning. Like that's the world we live in. Like, I don't trust that guy. He's too happy because everybody else is miserable as shit. Well, like Matt said, how's that working out for you? Can we at least try? What if we do, what if we give it a shot? Like, what do you got to lose, right? If your life is shit and you're a victim, can you just give it a try?
Yeah. Yes. Keep the magic on, y'all. Keep it alive. Do not turn the magic off. Did you know you can undo it at any time, or you can turn it on at any time? You are creators, right? That's why choosing your position in your word and deed is your new creation. That's why I love Josh's analogy with the water bowl and the murky water. Choose your position and just get under new life, new water from the inside out by choosing new position, new thoughts. One more Socrates quote, and he says, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Don't, again, judge yourself and try and fix yourself and clean out your own bowl and all your shit. Real change is choosing a new position and focusing on not the old you, but what does the new you look like? And by you stepping into that, by default, it will start handling. The old will just fall off without you even having to give it any attention. Put all your attention on the new you, and the old will fall away.
Yeah, it's amazing how many things work themselves out. You have all this. You've heard me talk a lot about manageable chunks. To me, that's probably one of the top 3 things that I definitely learned is I live my life in manageable chunks. It's really been the answer for me in almost all things. And by that, I simply mean I get very overwhelmed. So I just break everything up into very easy, manageable chunks. I shouldn't say very easy, but at least manageable. Yeah. And so things become less overwhelming, and I'm able to do the things I need to do. Even in tattooing, you got this giant tattoo and, this giant, there's so much black in the background. And it's like, you can look at it as this giant area that I have to fill in black, or you can break it up into manageable chunks. And before you know it, you're 3/4 of the way done and it's super solid black, Right. That works with so many facets in life. But it's amazing how many things fall away, as you start to live in the light, as I call it. You'll notice that it's like it's all automatically happening, right? When it's really your authentic you and you've chosen that position.
Yes.
Just, and then the things that come to you too, like, when I really first started doing this, I would call Matt a lot, and I'd be like, this is weird. It's almost like magic. Like I gave somebody money to help them out, or I did something for them. And then now threefold it's coming back to me. All of a sudden there's these amazing opportunities, and it was like clockwork, even to the point that the last time I donated kind of a healthy amount of money to somebody, I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position that I can do that right now. Nikki even said, she goes, watch this, watch how much this will come back to us. As to where before we used to be like, you know, not selfish, but be like, well, I don't want to give away my money. That's my money.
Right.
I earned it. And she was like, you know, she was always a little bit leery on like, you know, because she was worried about us, which is, of course, you know. But I'm like, look, we're in the position to help this person. They need help. And it was so nice to hear her. She was like, watch what this does for us. It's cyclical.
So beautiful. So beautiful, man. And I love it. And what an opportunity. Because yes, you guys were chosen. You chose to be chosen to be the vessel to bless somebody else. But in doing that, the blessing is developed in you.
It's really amazing at how much, and it doesn't have to be money at all, guys. It can be so many things. It could simply be lending a hand, just being there for somebody. I know Matt said this before. Like if you're thinking about somebody, let them know. That alone that's a huge thing. You know,
just yesterday, brother, I got so much going on, obviously, and we're in the middle of a new shop. Got so much going on. And I was. We were maybe going to podcast yesterday. I had a big enrollment call. I'm single father, just a lot going on. I had to go down the new shop and meet the painters and the builders, the contractors, and I had to go to the bank, cut some of the biggest checks I've ever cut. So I'm standing in the bank and I'm getting cashier's checks made for like thousands. Like one check was $40K, another one was like 38. Like these were some big checks that
Here we go.
I'm like in the next 5 minutes, I'm pushing 90 grand here, like, right. And that can make anybody be like, oh God. Right. And in that moment, now, mind you, I'm already like fighting a fight and broken all these things. And now in the physical, I'm coming off some big money right now, like, ooh, nail biter. In that moment, I'm standing up at the teller and there's a gentleman at the next teller to me. And when I'm pulling my stuff out, I had some cash on me, just like, $300 bills. And in my spirit, immediately I was instructed, give that man to your right your money, right? Immediately. Now I know I'm Matt Clemmer, guys. I'm just trying to tell you, even I get embarrassed. Even I get scared to obey. Even I still don't want to risk being the fucking weirdo. But at the same time, I've just been given an instruction. I don't know fucking why. In this moment, I get to re-choose my position. Am I going to hold the one I've already chose, which is in love? And I'm saying I'm willing and I'm open. Call on me. I'll be your huckleberry. I'll do it. Or am I going to allow my own ego and fear and worry about what it's going to look like stop me? This is why choosing your position is always ongoing. And it seemed like time stopped. And these moments, I don't have all day to think about or decide, am I going to obey or not? But these days, I also know every time I don't obey, the pain of wondering what if eats me up so bad that now I'll just fucking obey. And so I did. But right when I got that unction, I heard the man say, yes, I want to deposit this into my daughter's account. And right then I immediately grabbed my money and I stepped down and I slammed it down. I was like, yo, I want to contribute your daughter's account too. And just jumped back. Wow. Guys, in that moment, that man broke. And he told me how much that meant to him because his daughter's going through a divorce and him and her daughter trying to move out. And that the family is trying to create a fund to support. I didn't know any of that, but God did, right? But not only did that man break, the people standing behind him broke. The tellers broke, and the teller started crying and said, that might be the best thing I've seen all month, right? But when I was called upon in that moment, I was dealing with my own shit, my own brokenness, my own fear of lack, like I'm already spending a lot of money, and whatever I got on me, I'm being asked to give away, right? But I acted on it. I'm so glad I did. And even though it blessed them, getting to be the vessel blessed me. And I don't even know the impact that happened. And that was 5 minutes in the bank yesterday. What I'm getting at, like Josh, and that one was about money. But like Josh said, 5 minutes in the aisle at grocery store, wherever you're at, there's signs and wonders, opportunities and miracles. But are you caught up in your own shit? You know what I'm saying? Hip used to say it all the time. We lose ourselves in the service of others. Are you looking for it? Are you open it? Choose your position and you can create miracles, and miracles can be created from and through you. as well. Like Josh said, ain't got much to lose. Fucking try it. It's fun. Come join us.
Exactly. Come join us. Exactly.
Tattoo Guardians all over the world, we fucking love you so much. Thank you for your support. And my God, this show has become way more and deeper than just talking tattoos, right? But hopefully, even you tattoo artists, today's discussion is so applicable to your whole career, how you handle not only your children and your spouse, but every single client, but who you are and how you operate. You can constantly choose your position. Hope something Josh and I said today resonates with you. Will you let us know if it did? We're going to continue serving you from our whole heart. We got some great topics for you tattooers coming down the pike. Great guests on the horizon. Thank you for your continual support. And we'll see y'all next week.